In continuing our conversation about governments vying for more control, we've got some news that's been developing this week, in the past couple of days. Now a third of the world is under lockdown, and India helped us get to that number with its billion-plus population. Think about that. About 3 billion people around the world are told they cannot go anywhere. They got to stay home. And this is gonna, if this becomes a seasonal flu, like Dr. Fauci has suggested and many others have suggested and speculated at the beginning of this crisis, this could be the new normal. People will be conditioned to accept absolute government authority over where they can go, where they can gather, where they can, I mean, forget about the Constitution at this point if this becomes a normal thing. Politico says people intentionally spreading the virus can be charged as terrorists, with coronavirus being considered as a biological agent. People can be tried under terrorism laws. And with the newly expanded Patriot Act, I forget what the heck they named it this time, but another jolly name like Patriot Act, like everything in this bill is good for you Act or whatever. Politicians love naming bills that overreach and take away our rights, all these nice names. The Puppy Dogs and Rainbows Act. Well, this just seems like an expansion of those Patriot Act powers. So the question becomes, you know, how do you prove someone is intentionally spreading the virus? You know, would this have to be somebody that has tested positive for coronavirus already? Or could this just be any idiot? Like, for example, there's this video of somebody licking the pole on the New York subway. Would he be considered a terrorist? A YouTuber recently was arrested for licking things, and he was arrested as a terrorist. Does he have COVID-19? They might be stretching this a little bit, calling them terrorists, and I'm sure that, you know, it can be used to apply to a number of different people. I mean, think about this. If you're just walking outside if you're going outside for a jog in Chicago, which they're saying that you'll now get a $500 fine or get arrested for, could they charge them under this terrorist act if they're not following the stay-at-home procedures? Department of Justice task force to address hoarding and price gouging supplies urgently needed for the fight against the virus. This is, again, more control, more regulation being put into place. But there's a kernel of truth here in that, you know, yes, it's supply and demand, but these people could literally be causing others to get sick or causing them to die if they take these supplies off the shelves by hoarding them and trying to gouge supplies. You know, this is a common thing with any kind of crisis. People try to profit off of it, just like in the Great Depression. And I believe something needs to be done, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel about the government seizing your property and things like that. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Unlawful seizure. So we're getting into some very gray territory here, and these are setting some very bad precedents. CNET, governments could track COVID-19 lockdowns through social media posts. Italy has begun tracking citizens through their personal Instagram posts. So they're arresting people based on their Instagram posts. If they see you taking a selfie somewhere where you aren't supposed to be, they're going to be knocking on your door and arresting you. So how much longer until these practices start being put in place here in the United States? what's happened in China, the measures that they've taken, again, as I said in a previous video, they've been lauded as the model approach to how you should handle this crisis. That you know, authoritarianism must be put into place. People need to be tracked constantly. So in China, people are tracked constantly by their phones. And by the way, recent news bit, 21 million phone accounts in China have just been deactivated. So what that is an indicator, some experts are saying, is that actually the fallout in China has been a lot worse, that millions of people have died, and that they're still hiding the results. You know, China, as you might have heard, is already getting back into business, opening factories. Is this premature? Could they still be spreading the virus? Are they hiding deaths? There's a lot of reports coming out of China indicating that they are hiding a lot of things, and they're not telling their people what's going on. Treasury bonds are entering into negative rates. Now, this is real quick. This will be a huge issue if this starts going into effect in our checking accounts and savings accounts. Imagine this: you put money into your bank account and you start losing money because of negative interest rates. This will have a tremendous impact on the economy. People are going to be starting to take money out of the bank. This could cause a run on the banks. Keep an eye on those sorts of news closely, because if everybody's taking the money out of the banks won't have enough money to let you withdraw, so you'll be freaking broke. So if I were you, I would maybe take some of your cash out. I've taken a little bit of money out. I don't really have much to begin with, and I still need to pay bills, credit card bills. You know, I'm on a tax installment plan to pay back taxes. I mean, like, I'm getting sucked dry here and not making any money. And so real quick, so that we can finish on this control piece. So Chicago mayor, again, if you go out and exercise for long periods, or you're outside for long periods, even if you're on your own, not next to anybody, you can get arrested. ZDNet, Harvard researchers are saying we may need periodic quarantine until 2022 or whenever medical infrastructure is upgraded. So again, this is sort of getting you ready for the idea that this could be a seasonal thing. Imagine a shutdown every year for a few months. What kind of impact is going to have on the economy? Will we ever recover from this? Gun shops closed in Virginia, Chicago, New Orleans, and California, suspending the Second Amendment as not an essential service. So now's the time to think about if you're going to pick up a gun. You might not ever get the chance again, as this is getting shut down. In the local town that we're in, they got a pawn shop that you know, is still open, but you got to go in through the back, and actually kind of creates more of a hazard because people cramp into the back door to be served. They can't go inside the store, so everybody's cramped at the back, and everybody's buying guns. I was there doing some research, and everybody that came into the pawn shop was there looking for guns. So we might see some shortages of that, and stores get closed out in your state or in your city. So keep an eye out for that, and stay tuned. We're going to be covering more news here on the channel. I got to keep the videos short because the internet is pretty wonky up here and my upload speeds are not that great, so bear with me. But I got a laptop coming in, and I might try to see about getting a better service, maybe starting a Patreon, because I do really need the support. And you know, right now with the way the internet is around here, it's tough to get uploads to you fast as usual. Okay,